Sarah.
Should I just honk the horn?
I like it.
Hey everyone, my name is Logan McNay, and I am the writer and director of the short film Life Insurance.
Taking a look at my check. And you didn't pay me enough.
This project was a lot of fun and took just under a year to do, with writing being 3 months. We filmed over the period of 3 days, and post-production being 4 months, which was very long.
There's a little space missing. Little space missing.
It's all fun and games until you are rotoscoping paintings and books into scenes that you didn't do art direction on. Just wondering on the day that you'll get away from your desk and make something new. But hey, it's done now, so. The first part is the writing process. This is what we're going to start with, which is the hero's journey. Every story follows this to a certain extent. The hero is really just the protagonist to the story that you'll see in every single movie ever. If you look at the hero's journey as it applies to an entire movie, it also applies to individual scenes in movies too. A good example that I like to use from this is... It starts with everyone is going about their normal workday. The inciting incident happens so that Dwight can teach how to do safety training for the office.
Today, smoking is gonna save lives.
Notice here in the beginning that no one is actually noticing that the fire is really going. If you imagine what the story would have been like had everyone just immediately seen that Dwight started the fire, it wouldn't actually be as funny. So when Dwight has to point it out to Pam that there's a fire, he is the second element that pushes forward the story. The original premise in the first opening is that everyone in the office comes together and tries to find a solution.
Touch the handle. If it's hot, there could be a fire in the hallway. What does warm mean?
Oh my gosh,
What next?
When it comes to the midpoint, you see an all-time low. Everyone is now freaking out like you haven't seen before. And then the premise actually changes. Instead of the entire office working together, it's now every man for himself. And that just juxtaposes the two ideas and makes it even funnier, but it also keeps the audience engaged too. Everyone is going through their own challenges, and we see it break off into different characters and their specific moments. Angela is getting her cat.
Save Bandit!
Jim is trying to take the printer and he's trying to shove it and open the door. You'll see Michael freaking out. When there are 3 sequences intercutting, we can only focus on one, but our brains want to remember all 3. So it adds a heightened element of suspense, which makes it a climax.
Employees of Dunder Mifflin, this has been a test of our emergency preparedness.
With this, you can see as a recap from an example of how the hero's journey is used just in a single scene. You have a place of normalcy. Everyone is going about their day. There's an inciting incident. No one is actually noticing that the fire is really going. A second element comes and pushes the story forward. There's a lot of trials and tribulations along the way. At the midpoint, the premise changes and there's an all-time low. Then there's more trials and tribulations that come that break into a final climax, and then that follows with the resolution. And then you can't have the hero's journey in every single scene in a movie, but it is a good starting point so that you can have a place to jump off of for your own scripts. So, how does the hero's journey apply to the entire short film of Life Insurance? The nature of the main character's job is that he's a crisis negotiator. So, his ordinary world is that he's always talking someone down from suicide. And then we have the call to adventure, where we see the office and we know that something is up. We have Lewis's refusal, where something seems a little off. The meeting with the mentor, where a second element comes in and spurs on the story. We have the crossing of the threshold, where now he's back in the car and he's talking. The tests, allies, and enemies, where Lewis has to answer some questions and give his thinking and reasoning. The approach of the inmost cave, as Nora's character sees Lewis's badge in the car. At this point, I think you get the idea. The whole story was meant to mislead the audience in thinking, did Lewis actually kill her? What happened? When in the end, what I was really trying to get at was the final twist in the story, and that he's really more interested in getting his commission. When I write dialogue, there's a saying that I kind of like to use, and it's that good artists copy, great artists steal. And I steal a lot. I just go into movies and I find some dialogue that I like, and I just try and mimic the beats in that, until I get something that I like. An example from this is from the Zodiac.
The knives I had in my car with the blood on them, that blood came from a chicken that I killed for dinner. What? I had knives in my car that weekend. Maybe Bill saw them and called the other officer on me.
Well, we'll be checking in on that.
As someone who is saving them from committing suicide, I'm not saving their life. I'm selling them a product. An idea.
An idea?
Yeah. An idea.
So for the dialogue, we had a lot that was taken out because it just didn't flow correctly with the entire scene.
Basic marketing 101.
And what if they don't want what you're selling?
In college, I wanted to be a graphic designer. But the one thing I could never get right when a small business came in looking for a logo was listening.
No one really understood who the young guy was that was asking all the questions. His official title is that he's an HR intern. Originally, we had lines in there where Lewis verbally actually gets angry at the HR intern for asking so many questions, and then he kind of leans back and says, "Oh, I'm just an HR intern." But I didn't really like that there because I thought it was just too out of character and didn't fit with the scene and was too expositional. And so I was hoping through that I could just communicate the same information by just how he's dressed and his body language. Originally, the exposition that you see in
Where were the police in all of this?
When a person with life insurance may become suicidal.
was originally at the end. And this didn't work for many reasons, but the biggest was that the story was progressing and then all of a sudden it just had to come to a raging halt where just a chunk of information has to get thrown in your face. It completely stops the story, and even worse, it's really confusing. So from that, we learned that having the exposition at the end isn't a good idea. So the solution for this is what you see in the short film, where we took that block of information and we pushed it right towards the front. And the funny thing is, in the process, when I was moving around all the footage, the cut to black that you see in the short film was totally a mistake.
Do you know why she wanted to kill herself?
I pressed ripple delete and there was an audio piece, and that stopped the video from coming together, and it left this black spot right as Lewis shuts the door. We totally wanted to keep that. I was afraid that a lot of the dialogue that I wrote would be really cliche. We still had a couple lines that I was actually thinking were not gonna play at all. One, such as the profile shot in the car. I was thinking that that was gonna be horrible by what I wrote. Having actual real actors play out the scene, it really ended up coming off convincing to me, and I was not expecting that at all. I was thinking it was gonna be really cheesy. I had a line after that in the office kind of mocking the entire scene just to be self-aware.
That was it? That's all it took?
Yeah. And from there, I never saw her again.
And 2 days later, she killed herself at the rehabilitation center you checked her into.
If you enjoyed the writing breakdown for this, I actually included all of the links below of all of the previous drafts that led up to the creation of the short film. And so you can go see those if you'd like. If you liked what you watched, make sure that you like it, you share it multiple times with your friends, berate them until they probably unfollow you and unfriend you. Yeah, self-promotion is key to building millions of followers.